Hello everyone, my name is John Michael Bushman and welcome back to Hearthstone, and we are on a new series that I will be trying out, and I have a tentative title for it. You're probably already seeing it, but it has something to do with the standard format, and I really want to get back into it because for the time that I started in Hearthstone way back in October of 2024, which seems like a long time ago now. I started with Great Dark Beyond, and just before that, the StarCraft cards came out, and they were one of the most powerful things that came out of Hearthstone in recent memory. And by recent memory, I mean within like the last 2 years. And they pushed deck building in a very specific direction, and a lot of cards from that set has been nerfed to death. What you're seeing here is well, it could be better, but unfortunately, due to the power level of the StarCraft cards and they want to make Emerald Dream shine just a little more, they had to tone down a lot of stuff. And to be honest, this deck still works. I still take wins here and there, but unfortunately, due to the nature of the game right now, and Standard is at the most manageable it has ever been in a long ass while. Standard is very playable right now, more than any other time there has been in Hearthstone. You know, thank the gods that not Whizbang's Workshop. No, no, no. Showdown in the Badlands, Festival of Legends, and Titans. They've all rotated out. They're now in Wild, where they are meant to be, where the power level is so much higher over there. Now we're seeing Standard being, well, a lot more enjoyable, surprisingly. So this is the deck that I chose. This was the deck that is recommended to you when you're either starting out here on Hearthstone or if you haven't played for 90 days. It should have changed by the time you're watching this video, because by the time I'm uploading this video, or rather, by the time this video is going live, it will already be a new season. I'm only at gold for standard right now because while the wild format is what it is, unfortunately, I still enjoy wild in spite of it being a, well, often forgotten format by the devs. Standard is really where they're pouring a lot of their resources into. I did try this deck out, and it still works. You just have to pick your spots well, just like any control player. You have to know when to put your removal down and when to save up those resources. So the main win con of this deck is to literally outgrind your opponent until they cannot answer you anymore. It is done in a number of ways, either having a starship that has been launched by Jim Raynor, preferably more than once, and then building up a starship that's big enough that your opponent just cannot answer it. The other win con here is the Kill Jaden portal. I had to decraft this guy way back when just to make other decks because Mildroid wasn't exactly working. Here in Standard, where it's far more manageable now, and people are already calling for nerfs for this guy, simply because the stuff that he does, you simply cannot interact with it, and it acts as a second hand of sorts, especially if the player who has it survives until that point. Kill Jaden will probably get nerfed somewhere down the line, and I'll decraft him then. But everything else in this deck, well, has already been nerfed and or are fine. So we're gonna go over the card by card and to explain the choices. First up, Concussive Shells. Why this over SCV? This is removal and armor. That's pretty much it. There are arguments for SCV, but at the current moment, given how standard it has been shaking out, you definitely need the removal. And I have seen plays where if you don't exactly have any targets, you can use concussive shells on your own starship pieces instead. Shield block has been in most, if not all, warrior decks ever since it got printed, since day one. Never leave home without it. And then now we move on to Starboard, one of the nerfed cards out of the StarCraft set. Not the card itself, but the stuff that it poops out. The starship pieces in this little location has been nerfed by a value of 1 to 2. I believe, yeah, Viking used to give you 7 armor. Then this used to be able to hit face, and then this gave 3 bonus effects. Then this dealt, I believe, 5 damage. Medivac was the only one that was untouched because nobody really likes that thing, unfortunately. But in spite of that, it's still really damn good because if your opponent ignores these, then you can just keep hitting face with it, or you can use these starship pieces as pseudo removal tools. And then, once you have gathered enough of these pieces, you can either make a really big starship or just maybe a couple of medium-sized starships to kill your opponent with. Then one of the cards that came out of the core set, the Bulwark of Azeroth. You don't need to craft this, so the legend count in this deck is not as high as you think. You get this from the core set. This acts as a way to buy time, especially against the more aggressive matchups. And it has saved me on multiple occasions. Rather than taking damage, you lose one durability instead. Although smarter opponents will quite literally sacrifice their smaller creatures or their big creatures at that to take the bulwark away so that they can swing in for a lethal amount of damage. So keep that in mind, but this will save you more often than not. Then, of course, because we have Ham the Hungry, we have access to all of the cards out of Perils in Paradise because of our tourist here. And we are using a lot of them. We're using, first, of course, New Heights, the only ramp card that's legal in Standard right now because we don't exactly need too many Druid things. Druids are already doing, like, decent right now because everything has been powered down significantly so that Imbue Druid can shine. And this is one of those things that is surprisingly not using that deck simply because it's not a nature spell, surprisingly. It increases your your maximum mana by 3, and then you ramp by 1. These two, the two copies that you have in here, are usually more than enough to give you the mana to basically outlast your opponent. And then the other one that is part of the Perils in Paradise package, Tortolan Traveler. This just acts as a tutor for any of your high-cost taunt minions, although there are only like 3 targets. I believe there are only 2. Yeah, there are only 2 targets at this point. Oh my god. Well, 4 if you count the 2 Arcanite Defense Crystals, but we don't exactly count that. You're usually aiming to get either Tortola or Ham the Hungry here with Tortola and Traveler. Dropping this on turn 3 is extremely annoying because while it has only 1 attack, the 5 health booty is going to be very hard for a lot of opponents to deal with in the early game. And then Liftoff is one of those StarCraft cards that were nerfed. This used to cost 3 mana, and then it contains the same nerfed starship pieces that the Starport has. You would usually use this if you don't already have the stuff that you need, but more often than not, you're just using this to get the starship pieces on board. And I have had games where, I mean, it feels really bad to spend 4 mana just to get a 2/1 on board, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Then Yamato Cannon, some builds don't even have this. This is a more budget-friendly option because the random can more often than not work against you. But if you do play it smart and you get rid of minions that you would rather not be hit by the Yamato Cannon, then Yamato Cannon will definitely do its job right. And it also works really well, especially with a really big battle cruiser. Because it can snipe down maybe 2 other problematic minions when it does get to that point. But definitely one of the more replaceable pieces in this deck. But for me, it works really goddamn well. Then, of course, Arcanite Defense Crystal. This card has been nerfed 3 times already, and it's still a cracked-ass card. This used to cost 4 mana and used to give 6 armor, and then it used to be a 3/4. It has gone through 2 other changes rather ever since, and it's still a good card, but being what it is, it's definitely a lot more manageable now unless some other card breaks it somewhere down the line. So I'm gonna keep an eye for that one. And then moving right along to Brawl. Some builds only have 1, some builds don't have it at all, but I have it at 2 because of a nerf that was done to Bob. Now, Bob used to be part of this deck, and let's see if we can find him, but the nerf to recruit a minion definitely makes Bob a little less desirable than what he needed to be. I mean, we're just gonna wait for his revert, and then he'll be a lot better again. But for now, he will definitely be put on the sidelines until he gets reverted back. And taking his spot is another copy of Brawl, because there are a lot of creature-centric decks in the format right now, and we're gonna need all the board wish we're gonna get. And moving right along to Hostile Invader. A lot of people have already said that this card will rise in popularity the moment the power level of the game goes down, and it did. A lot of warrior decks use this guy, even just as a 5 mana deal 2 to all other minions, and then he dies and then deals another 2. You don't even need to trigger the spell burst. He is good enough as it is, and he also spouts one of the coolest lines, voice lines rather, out of the cards from the Great Dark Beyond. So there is that, and so he's a mini board clear and also a decent attacker at that, given his stat line. Then of course we have Ham the Hungry. He is the primary reason I even wanted to build this deck, because I have a soft spot for Tauren in Warcraft lore, because they are my favorite tribe out of that bunch. And do Tauren have four stomachs? Probably no, but I mean, he is called Ham the Hungry, so he definitely eats a lot. He acts as an on-board version of Mutanus, and he eats minions out of your opponent's deck every at the end of every turn. So, well, your turn specifically. He's basically a 6 mana 5/5 at the end of your turn. But if your opponent's deck doesn't have any minions, then he is definitely a sitting duck. Well, a sitting Tauren, if you're gonna be more pedantic about it. Then we move on to Kill Jaden, one of the win cons of this deck, and I don't need to explain to you just how insanely cracked this guy is in slower metas. If the meta gets any faster than what it is right now, at least at the time of me recording this video, Kill Jaden definitely loses a lot of his steam, because he needs a lot, and I mean a lot of setup in order to make work properly. And again, if the meta gets any faster, then Kill Jaden will definitely be an easy 400 dust refund. Then, of course, Jim Raynor, the other win con of the deck. He relaunches all of the starships that you have already launched this game, so giving you additional copies of preferably the ones with taunt, so that you can bring them back with hydration station. And whoo boy, we're gonna get back to that. His voice lines trigger a sense of nostalgia in me, even though I didn't exactly play StarCraft 1 and 2 too seriously. Of course, if cheats are available in the game, of course I'm gonna use it. I just played through it for the story, and it was an enjoyable romp. Don't get me wrong. He is a way to push the damage past your opponent's defenses, because giving your minions, especially the Tyrant minions, +2 attack, is definitely a huge swing. Then Sleep Under the Stars, another one of those Perils in Paradise cards that you get because of Ham the Hungry. You primarily use this for the first two lines of text here, or rather for the first two choices, where you either draw 2 cards or you gain 5 armor. It can be in any combination of these two, but preferably you would want to refill your hand with the Sleep Under the Stars. In desperate situations, you will have to use Bear Constellation, but if you are ahead, you can definitely refresh your mana instead. But more often than not, you're just going to draw 6 cards out of this thing. Then, of course, Hydration Station. This card was also nerfed twice, where it would summon 3 copies of the same minion. So they had to nerf that to the text that you see here, but even then, it's still too good, so they nerfed it up to 10 mana. And now we have the big boy, Tortola, one of the wild gods out of Emerald Dream. Could actually very easily replace this guy with Ziliax instead, but I am very confident that card is going to get nerfed again sometime in the future, so I'm just going to wait for him to get reverted in wild before I can add him into any deck again. And of course, turtle, it's a turtle. I mean, why wouldn't I run a turtle in my deck? And having a 30 health booty can help against certain matchups. But against Imbued Druid in particular, it's not exactly going to hold out for too long. But it is very annoying, though. And having this thing give you 1 armor is definitely helpful in a lot of situations. Finally, the Ceaseless Expanse. This thing has been nerfed. It just costs 100 mana and have a 15/15 stat line. But even in spite of that, this is still being shoved into decks simply because of its goddamn battle cry. It just wipes the board, and it even leaves a body behind. In certain matchups, this card won't even go live, but because of how I played this deck in specific, I do reach a point where this guy just becomes insane. And yeah, that is the deck. So we're just going to control the board and hopefully win through attrition. I'll see you guys in the games.
Versus Valera.
Up against Rogue, so... Ooh, Deathwing is a sus-ass name, so we could be facing off against a bot, unfortunately. But we do have Starport in hand, so we could at least have that rolling along. Okay, drawing those is also nice. So let's just hope that we win against this, because one thing I learned in the Hearthstone Wilds Hearthstone subreddit rather, you don't concede against bots
Incredible.
because you will more often than not get paired against even more bots, unfortunately. So I mean, we're gonna greet back, but that may
The
have just been a
pleasure
bot
is
thing.
mine.
Okay, you're still pretty sus to me, opponent, unfortunately. So we're gonna play Starport and we'll summon a Starship piece. Medivac is nice and all. It'll at least give us 2 taunt minions that will stall my opponent for a little. And we're in standard right now because this format is a lot more manageable compared to Wild. Simply because I mean, it's a running joke within the Wild Hearthstone subreddit that pretty much like Twist, Wild has been left to its own goddamn devices. And they just hope that they will self-correct. But even the Wild players are like, devs, please, we can only self-correct so much. And it's unfortunate. I would rather have a more high-value target, but Toy Boat, I mean, I've seen this in Wild. This can spiral out of control very, very quickly, so we're just gonna do that, and we're just gonna leave it on board. We're just gonna leave everything else on board. For now, we're gonna attack with these 2 pieces, and go in for our damage. So let's see what my opponent does here. And I don't exactly play Wild, rather play Standard a lot. Simply because, as you can see here, I'm only in gold. Because I still prefer the Wild format, again, in spite being, an extremely untethered mess, if I do say so myself. Okay, opponent is doing my work for me, so that is nice. Sure, that is fine. In attack, sure. I'm not exactly too scared for what it is my opponent's doing, so I'm just gonna draw 2 cards and let's see what pops up. Another Starport. I'm drawing nothing but all of my StarCraft cards. That is fascinating. I still have a decent enough life total to survive for a couple more turns. But I definitely need to get rid of this 5/5 here. And it has to be soon. Alright, cool. Another Toy Boat. I'll definitely need to shoot that thing down. Good thing I was saving up the concussive shells. Okay, sure. Okay, again, opponent doing my job for me, so thank you, opponent. Again, doing my job for me, so thank you, opponent. What else are you gonna do? Okay, sure. We get a 3 point of damage in. Sure. Yep, that's another 5. Times like this where I wonder if I should actually just brawl than just shoot my opponent's face with the concussive shells. Or I'll just shoot down whoever the survivor is. Because the next minion that they're gonna summon is gonna be a 5/5 anyway. So I don't. But I will need to use Brawl. And I have a Yamato Cannon, so yeah, actually, it's safe to use Brawl here. And then I'll just pick off whatever survivor that my opponent will eventually have. And they even earned a 5/5. Good God. Oh my God. So I'm gonna shoot it down, bring it to a more manageable 1 life total. I would have preferred that this wasn't the one that survived. But what can you do? Variance is a bitch in this game, so we're gonna see if it even gets to that point. Okay, sure. So the 1/1 that they will supposedly summon out of the weapon will become a 5/5, then attacks me. But I am actually not sure if my opponent can even kill me here. Okay, I may have spoken too soon. That is usually an indication that something bad is gonna happen to me here. But if not, then I probably still stand a chance. Okay, I definitely still stand a sort of chance, but we're gonna find out soon enough. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of the location. Then we're gonna use this. We're gonna launch it. Then we will probably play the Turtle and Traveler. Then hopefully get somewhere from there. Oh wow, we didn't get the taunt out of this one. Oh wait, nah, I mean I didn't put a taunt in it anyway, so that's fine by me. And so we're gonna armor up a little bit of healing, but I am not exactly confident about my odds from here. So also another reason why I'm playing standard is so that I can justify using the Gen skin that I bought out of the store. Oh, good God, it's such a good-looking skin. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good-looking skin. So definitely would love to use this more often. So definitely play a taunt minion here. Should I just attack my opponent? Because this is only, what, 15 damage? So, oh wait, no. I have the Yamato cannon. I can get rid of it. There we go. Alright. So, 15 damage to my opponent's face. There we go. Then gain a bit of armor back. And I think I may have stabilized. But I'm not confident about my odds. And by the way, I have never seen Crystal Cove this entire time. It's probably only a standard thing, so there is that. Okay, cool. Refuel, well, quote-unquote refueling here. Okay, yep, summoning another 1-1. That becomes a 5-5. Sure. Then attacks a random minion. Will you attack? Okay, I would prefer you did that, but thank you, opponent. He would have preferred that to attack my face instead, but oh good god, that is such a good looking skin. Let's move on to the next game.
Yen versus the Lich King.
Up against Death Knight, and there really are only two Death Knight decks in the standard meta right now, and it's either Leech Death Knight or the hand buff Death Knight, and we will find out which one we're facing up against very, very soon. And Bulwark of Astronaut is one of those cards that doesn't work against this matchup at all, so we may be very, very dead here. And with a draw like that, good god, I am not confident about my odds. So. I wasn't able to mess around with the stage last game, so I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna break the window, I'm gonna open the door. Ooh, we got that. Unfortunately, so we're gonna have a sign of weakness and then just armor up here. So we're gonna put a poison in our wine. Just tap the bottle multiple times, and there we go. Go poison in there. Then we're gonna mess with the sword. Cut the candles. There we go. Okay, opponent is also probably bricking a little, but we were the one who put out a minion first, and I am. Excuse me. I am not confident that this will stay on the field very long because Death Knight has an insane removal package. Even in the core set, by the way. The core set for Death Knight is insane. Like, good god. Let's see what my opponent does against this thing, if at all. Because a 1-5 minion is pretty problematic for Death Knight because a lot of their stuff only deals 3 damage. Or they could use something more premium, and they use something that directly destroys a minion instead. But they didn't do that, so good on me. As much as I don't want to use Yamato Cannon on the leeches, I believe I should. Because I won't have any other target otherwise. So, there we go. And then having only 1 leech is far more manageable than having 2 of them, so there is that. And now that she is only a 1-3, she is far more vulnerable to attacks and can also die a lot easier. So there's that. This is definitely going to be something that I should kill. Oh my god. Because having this thing trigger a death rattle is not going to be Gucci in my book. Okay, opponent is just gonna do that. Okay, though to be expected. I'm assuming Leech is gonna leech off of that. Yep, about what I expected. Should I just play Hostile Invader on curve? No, I don't think I should. I'm gonna treat that more as a removal spell rather than as we're just gonna draw our 2 cards because my opponent hasn't exactly shown too much danger out of them yet. They've only played a couple of low impact stuff so far. Although the card that makes them draw 2 and then summons leeches, that's definitely something. But they could definitely do better. So we're just gonna swing everything to the taunt minion. There we go. Let's see what we draw. We drew the turtle. Okay, that's really good. Now we're gonna play the 2 starports because we can. There we go, and then we're gonna activate them both and get 2 pieces, and then we'll gain even more armor. Oh my god. So we are at 36, a virtual 36, and opponent is at actual 33 because leeches add to your health. What? Yeah, I believe that's how they work. Okay, there's the Hideous Husk. We definitely need to get rid of these 2 pronto. And I have a way to do it. Surprisingly, good thing I held off on this guy.
forms of life will be crushed.
Do you hear that? This is why I love the Hostile Invader so much. His voice lines are so goddamn cool. So we're gonna gain even more armor. Then we're gonna leave it to my opponent. Then if he kills this, then it's 2 more damage across the board. So yep. About what I expected. Just go face, opponent. Yeah, that's a correct decision. Let's see what else they do here. I have been keeping his leeches in check really goddamn well, so that's definitely a pat on my back. Let's see what else my opponent is gonna do. Okay, Morbid Swarm. Okay, deal 4 damage to that. That is fine. Then using Ghoul Charge to finish him off. That is respectable. Yeah, yep, definitely killing that thing first will guarantee that nothing else will survive. Okay, cool. What we should expect out of this Wild Pyromancer, it doesn't seem like much, but it has, because people realize that it's an undead, it actually works with the new card that they added to the core set specifically for Death Knight, which gives an undead poisonous. So it's basically a 4-mana board wipe, if you can believe that. So, I think I should just brawl here because I don't exactly have an easy way to kill my opponent's minions here, and I'm going to have to wait until next turn in order to get rid of these guys anyway. So, yeah, using brawl here is it doesn't seem correct, but it at least kills my 2 starships if necessary, and then yeah, it leaves my opponent in a far worse position than what they started with. So, and getting rid of the guiding figure is definitely something. So, okay, yep, swing in for 3. That is fine by me. Sanguine Infestation. Ugh, definitely need to get rid of those. And yeah, bet you didn't see that one coming, did you, opponent? I think we should just summon my my guy. Destroy a minion. Yeah, I would have preferred to have the one that deals 2 damage to all enemy minions, but can't have everything, unfortunately. And okay, yep. My opponent is just sucking it right now, and that is not Gucci. So we're gonna play Arcanite Defense Crystal here, and then should I just launch this and hope that I get lucky? I guess I should. Because I don't think I don't think the plays in my hand are conducive of a play at the moment. So we're just gonna have to live with it. And then okay, yep, the leeches are now going to target the marines instead. So that is definitely some pressure off of my back. So my opponent is going to be in a, well, I mean, my opponent is still in a pretty commanding position, all things considered. And good God, Headless Horseman. Oh boy. You want something that will get my opponent ahead? Oh, yeah, that's definitely it. And he just killed my highest attack minion, so I am definitely set back by a lot. But I do have Tortola, so that is something. Okay, yep, 3 damage to that, and then they're gonna suck the marine. That is fine. Ooh, I actually would prefer that, thank you. So we attack that, we do that, there we go. Then we attack face, and then I guess we play the Tortolan Traveler. Wait, no, we don't have enough mana. Shit. I guess we just pay the turtle. There we go. Get the turtle. And then we just pass back to my opponent. I'm still not in a commanding position, but I may outgrind my opponent before they outgrind me. And this is gonna take a while. It's gonna be a lot of back and forth. Because we're both trying to outgrind each other. Like, good God. So this is gonna take a while, and I'm not gonna let you guys sit through all of this. So especially now with Dortola on board, it's gonna take my opponent a while to get past this. So I'll just get back once we reach a more interesting point. So just a little update here. My opponent activated Corpse Explosion, and he's going to give me a lot of armor in exchange for killing my board. And he did manage to do that, but again, I'm going to gain a lot of armor in the process, and he will end up with a very, very, very angry turtle. If he even survives, and he does indeed survive, and he's at 22. And it's elusive as well, so I don't know how my opponent's even gonna kill this thing. He needs to set up a minion. Ooh, okay, that is fine. So I basically have to exchange with this thing, but unfortunately, I have a Yamato cannon. Yeah, I believe my opponent saw that one coming because I also draw a couple of cards off of Sleep Under the Stars. And yeah, he saw the writing on the wall. Let's move on to the next game.
Yeah! Versus Sai!
Up against Death Knight again. Good God. So I know that there are two meta Death Knight decks right now, and let's see if we're gonna face off against them. The hand was pretty bad. They only keep a shield block. And drawing into the two cards that I would prefer to tutor off of the Tortolan Traveler is also not Gucci. So I am not confident about my prospects for this game in particular. So we're gonna see. Opponent is well, definitely not a bot. So there is that. And the one thing that I did in Wild recently was I tried playing in the ladder for 4 hours straight, and oh boy, it did not end well. I was pretty much a broken soul, so to speak, by the end of that session, because for every one game I win, I would lose like 6. It was not a good feeling in the slightest. Good God. With aggro being the king, the de facto king in that format right now, and there is very little way to go about it. And it still fascinates me that Paladin and Priest are the two classes that are reigning supreme. You would expect something like an evil aligned class, like say Warlock, that would take that spot instead, but no, we don't. We instead get light versus light. Two sides of the alliance are facing off in the top of the rank ladder. Well, what can you do? That's just how it rolls out. So we're just gonna play off curve instead. We're just gonna get a starship piece down and make my opponent deal with it. If they don't, then I mean they can just ignore it. So there's also that. We'll probably save this coin for turn 5 so that we can get Ham out slightly earlier. Or if not Ham, then at least we can get the Arcanite Defense Cross a lot. But I think I'd prefer to cheat out Ham rather than Tortola. So, okay, yep, we got leeches in. Oh boy, this is gonna be very, very problematic. Yep, choosing to ignore because the leeches will take care of that instead. Let's see. Oh god, it's a little too early for Brawl, but I believe it's what we need. More than anything else, so we're gonna Brawl. Yeah, it seems a little premature, but that board was pretty unstoppable, unfortunately. I know. No, we're gonna say this. There we go. Because why not? And I literally had no other answer for your board at that moment, opponent. So either that or I die, and that's unfortunate. I hope it was enough to answer my opponent's stuff. Blood tap. Okay. Opponent is so far showing that they are hand buff Death Knight. So we're gonna see, and they summoned ants instead. Oh, good God, that's how you know that my opponent is way, way ahead. Okay, yep. Sending a ghoul my way, then using the leech to drain it for 1 yet again. Tortolan Traveler, that is fine, but we're gonna see what this does. Okay, cool. Would I lift off? I guess. Because there aren't exactly a lot of targets with Tortolan Traveler now, so because they're in my hand, so that definitely sucks. But they could either send the ants to the starship pieces, or they could just let the leech do some of its job because it will drain 1 from this anyway, or they could just, you know, use all of their minions to kill my minions and then just let the leech drain for 1. So that's also another thing. Okay, yep. So they can draw 3 cards off of the Chill Fallen Baron. That is an insane amount of value, and one that I am very, very jealous of. Okay, yep. So they're gonna do what I thought they would do. They're gonna let the leech kill this guy instead, then just hit my face. So Kill Jaden is not gonna do much, unfortunately. So I guess, I mean, as much as I want to play Ham, actually, he's not gonna do much in this board, and that's the sad part. But I believe he is the right course of action. Then we can just play the other taunt minions next turn. Yeah, we're gonna do that. And I'm just hoping that Ham hits a decent minion. And the Geist was one of the the better targets. I'm saying like a gooder, but that's also the same idea. Okay, yep. Opponent is definitely the hand buff Death Knight, so we will likely be dead in 5 turns, maybe. Because it takes a hand buff Death Knight takes a while to get going, but they only really need to use the amateur puppeteer probably 2 more times. Yeah, at this point they only need to do it 2 more times in order to kill me. So I am definitely not going to survive for any longer here. So yeah. Opponent probably got this, and we're gonna move on to the end screen.
All forms of life will be crushed.
That's cool. Never let your guard down.
Planetary decimation.
Okay, we're here at the end screen, and yeah, it performed about how I expected it to. There will definitely be matchups where your opponent can either outgrind you or can outpace you. And it's to be expected when you're playing a control deck, especially in a game like Hearthstone, where everything has sped up significantly since the days of Classic. Although, to be honest, I still like playing this deck, in spite of it being, you know, tier 3-ish, maybe even tier 2.5 if you're being generous. But I like this style of deck, and it's definitely a change of pace from what I have been doing in Wild. I definitely prefer this over Wild at the moment, and you're gonna be seeing more videos with this deck and with this little mini series. And yes, it will only be a mini series because until this deck is no longer viable, I will keep rocking it, and it'll probably only be viable for like, I don't know, maybe a year or two, maybe even less, depending on what rotates in and out of the standard format. And good God, Warrior is and just a little tangent here. Warrior is performing really poorly in standard and in Wild at the moment, so I definitely made a very safe pick, and not a lot of stuff is going to get nerfed out of this archetype, the Control Warrior archetype specifically, at least for the time being, until something more busted comes out in the coming months. But yeah, if you prefer this style of deck where you would outgrind your opponent until you find a spot where you can win, I could definitely recommend it. But of course, there are far better options out there. But this is my suggestion to you, dear viewer. So if you like what you saw, hit like, comment, subscribe, and share this with some of your friends. And until next time, toodles.